Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Well, it's nice and cool on Cedar Creek. The humidity is broken, and we've gotten some rains. Rains coming throughout this week, and the temperatures are in the 70s. We have a few nights that are in the 50s, and oh my goodness, so exciting to me. We're just about back to 100% health here at Cedar Creek. There's still some lingering coughs, mostly with me. And of course, things are starting to turn, and so allergies will begin to kick in a little bit. And of course, that's just something that we have to live with as far as allergies. That's just, you know, those of us that have a few little allergies to different things here in the fall, we just live through that. But we still love being in the country. We still love being surrounded by all of these things. And so we put up with just a little bit of misery this time of year. But anyway, the boys are back to good health. Just a little bit cutting teeth and that kind of stuff. But as far as sickness, they're good to go. Blade and Shine are going. Like I said, I have a little bit of a lingering cough, but that is by far so much better than I was. So we're clipping right along, moving into the fall season. We've had lots of things going on. We went over the weekend, or the kids did, and we had 4 little piggies at the end of last week, but they found another little boar pig that is the same age as the group of 4 that they first brought in that are from the same litter. They found a 5th one that is not from the same litter, a little boar, but he is the same age as these little piglets. So they brought him in as a future breeder, and the 2 little girls from the first litter, and this one will be hopefully allow us to raise piglets, and then the other 2 little males from that first litter will be for our use. And all the other animals are getting along good. They're enjoying the cooler weather. The cows are laying down and chewing their cud, fat and happy. We're glad about that. And the birds are enjoying not being roasted out there in the hot temperatures. And just to be totally honest, we are too. The family is enjoying the cooler temperatures. Well, summer is clicking right along, isn't it? And in just a few weeks, it'll be fall officially. Feels like fall now, but now we're not fooled into thinking that we won't have any warm temperatures, because we have went to football games in the fall in October before for Blade, and thought we were going to roast up there in those bleachers. So we don't have anyone. None of us are fooled into thinking that there won't be any more hot temperatures before we get the first frost of the season. It seems like we're seeing a lot of deer moving around right now. Blade come home the other night. Shine and I hadn't made it home from that growing kids sale yet. Blade called us and told us that there was a young little deer here in the front yard, and so he FaceTimed us, or sent Cheyenne pictures anyways of that little fawn standing out there in the yard. They're all around us. They're usually up on our hillside, so that's not anything that we haven't seen before. However, I've never had a little fawn in the front yard, but that does let me know that they know our apple trees and our pear trees are here, and so that might pose a problem in the future. But they are beautiful creatures. Now, in the last video, I shared with y'all that Shine and I were going to the Growing Kids Sale, and in fact, we did go. We got some good deals, but Cheyenne took all the tags off the clothes and put the clothes in the wash. And so, as soon as we've got all of those washed and clean, we will get those out, and we will show you the bargains that we got on those. We got some really good deals. Got the bibs for a snow suit for Howie, and we got him quite a few jeans and different clothing. We didn't have a bigger size for him. Rowdy and even the new baby are covered with clothes that Rowdy and Howie have both worn, and each of them will be able to pass down to the one below them. but Howie didn't have anybody in front of him, and so we needed to go, and we did spend quite a little bit, but it was a whole lot cheaper than going and buying brand new. These clothes were gently used. These people that hold this sale, this was their 20th sale, so they're very particular about the clothing that they take in on consignment. They don't take anything that's tore or dirty or anything like that. But you want to make sure that you, just like if you were going to a yard sale, you want to check the zippers and the buttons, and you want to make sure under the arms there's no holes. You check those things out. They usually catch everything, but on occasion something will be missed. But we got really, really good clothing in good shape for Howie, and she was able to get a stroller that has it's actually for jogging, I think, but it has bicycle type tires on it, and it is the smoothest moving steering stroller that I have ever used before. She was able to get that for a very, very good price as well. We had, there were other things there. There was baby furniture and toddler furniture, kid furniture, slides and ride-on toys and all kinds of stuff that people could have bought for Christmas. Really, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was the reuse the used is what I wanted to talk about today. Before we go on, I wanted to tell you that I was at the grocery store the other day and had a list, and you want to try to stay with your grocery list as best as you can to save yourself money going in knowing what you want. But you need to also be prepared to find things that are an extremely good deal that you can't pass up. And that's what happened with me the other day. I had a specific list of items that I was going for, just a very, very small amount of items, and I went in and I happened to see ketchup on the end cap. Might be hearing the train in the background. So I went in and I saw the ketchup on the end cap. Now, I have never been able to can ketchup that I enjoyed the taste of. And I can remember my step-grandma canning ketchup when I was a kid, and my mom used it, but I didn't like it. And so I've never really tried to make one because I just seemed like I was just wasting product and wasting money every year. I'd make it and not like it. And I have got a YouTube channel that I really like to watch, and she has found a recipe. She is like me. She likes, there's certain ketchup that she likes, and she has come up with a ketchup recipe that she says is better than this particular brand that she likes. And so I'm going to try her recipe. But in the meantime, I was at the grocery store, and I caught this end cap, and it had ketchup on it. Now, I'm not trying to push any brand, but this was the brand that Howie loved. Now, I didn't grow up with this brand because this was always a higher price brand, and my mom usually got store brand. And all the years that I bought ketchup, I bought another brand that was cheaper than this one, but was still a name brand. And you could you could find it. They would use it as a loss leader each week at the grocery store, and you could usually find it 10 for 10, meaning you could get it for $1 a container, smaller than this one, but still a good price. And then one day Howie said, this is the brand that I really like. So I splurged and would get it for him and would really buy it when I found it on sale. But in the last few years, the prices have went up a lot. This particular brand, and this is a 38-ounce size, which is 2 pounds, 6 ounces. This particular one is over $7. And so to my surprise, on the end cap, they had this ketchup, and it was for $1. So it wasn't on my list, but I bought 5 bottles of it. And then we went back the other day, Cheyenne and I, and they still had it. They had it moved to another area, and they still had it for that same price, and so I picked up 3 more bottles. Well, now I will tell you that the best buy on this is for this year. They needed to get it sold because it was expiring, but I don't really care that ketchup is expired. It's sealed. It's good to go. Now, over time, the bright red ketchup will turn a little bit dark, but if I'm using this for a meatloaf or some other application, or using it in a recipe, I don't really care that it's darker than this bright red for me to use. For $1 a bottle, I saved over $6, almost $7 a piece on these. And so I was well pleased with that, and just wanted to tell you to keep your eyes peeled when you go to the grocery store. That you'll be surprised when you'll run into deals like that, and it's simply because it's got a shorter shelf life at the store, not here at home, not at your home. Don't be afraid of that Best By date. It'll go a lot further than what you think it will. Now, there are some things that, if it was a fresh item, like a meat item or something, you would have to put it into some other kind of process to make it last. But if it was that much cheaper and it was still in really good shape, I would still consider it. So I wanted to talk to you today about our attitude towards reusing used. We've talked about this subject before, but I really think that it still bears a little bit of return to the subject, because we all know that it's not getting any cheaper to live this day and age. In fact, it's getting more expensive all the time. If you've been to the grocery store, you know the grocery prices are not going down. And you're hearing reports that people are doing good, people are recovering, that people are making more, and that they're getting more hours, and they're doing this and they're doing that. Well, I don't know where exactly they're getting all this information, because around here, groceries are still high. And if the price is lower, a lot of times the size of the product is not the size that it's always been. I have known people in my lifetime, in my married life, that had children, and you would talk about going to yard sales or consignment sales, and they would just absolutely refuse to put their children in any kind of used clothing or used shoes or hand-me-down clothes or coats. And I grew up with that. I come from a big family, and that's the way we had to live. And there wasn't anything wrong with it. If there were things that were in good shape, sheets and comforters and quilts and towels and all kinds of things like that. My mom searched the yard sales, and she searched the consignments. Consignments weren't as big a thing when I was growing up. Mainly yard sales, garage sales, whatever kind of sale. She took advantage of that, and she was able to clothe the household and take care by not being afraid to use used. I've probably shared this with you lots of times, but my mom would even go as far as finding toys and other items that she would get at, I don't know, 10 cents, 15 cents, a quarter, $1. And she would take them home, and she would spend time cleaning them up. Dolls is one thing in particular I can think of. Dolls, baby dolls, Barbie dolls, doll furniture, doll houses, for my brother's trucks and G.I. Joes and the little horses and all of the things that everyone always had. And she would pay little to nothing for those things, and she would bring them home. And that's what made it so special, looking back now, that even though there was a little bit of money spent, she took her time. When we were at school, on her time, she got those things out, and she cleaned those things up, and she polished them up, and she combed ratty old doll hair, and cleaned clothes, and her and my aunt made doll clothes and Barbie clothes, and made things for the boys, and teepees, and all kinds of things, and saved that money, but was able to bring joy to the children. Same with our school clothes and our shoes and all of the different supplies that we needed to have. She did all of those things so that the money could be spent on items that that you couldn't really find in the yard sales or places like that. Things that she had to buy new, like the school supplies, paper, notebooks, and that kind of stuff, and food, and all the different items that she wasn't able to find. Then she could use the money to buy those things. But she did the very best that she could on the used items to stretch the budget. There are a lot of people that absolutely will not do that. They have it in their minds that used is bad, and used, it's trashy, it's dirty, and that's just not the case. We are a society that clothing styles and people's desires for those things change so quickly that the things are not wore out. Now, that growing kids sale that Cheyenne and I went to, there were rows and rows and rows of clothing, and most of the items were in perfect condition. There were a few things that you could tell were worn, that were well loved, but they were worn. And it's a big consignment. Over 1,100 people or more consign their things to be sold. This is the 20th sale that they've had. They have one in the spring, one in the fall. Shoes are the same way. Coats, all of these things are in good condition. Of course, you need to do like you do at a yard sale and try the zippers, try the buttons, check the arms, and make sure all those things. These clothes are just absolute, have a lot of value left in them. And I think that that's something that we need to pay attention to. Now, I've been harping on it for a long time about the used, buy used, go to the yard sales, go to the consignment shops. We have another big sale coming up in a few weeks that it coincides with a craft sale, but people will have yard sales, and I've been able to get quilt tops at those. I've been able to get sewing supplies at those. You would just be really surprised at the things that you can find if you buy used in places like that, that you can pack your pantry, not just your food pantry, of course, and your water supply, but your other items. We all need those extra quilts and blankets. We all need those extra items to keep us warm when we have to be out in the weather. And they're saying that we're going to have a good cold and snowy winter here for us this year in Oklahoma, so we'll see about that, and we'll be prepared for it. But people, we need to get to a place where we're not afraid to use something a second time, or a third time, or a fourth time, however many times that thing has usefulness, and not be afraid because it isn't new. Some of my very best Christmas gifts in my lifetime, not always, but some of the best, were used items. And I've told you the story before about wanting a rocking chair so bad. And of course, I knew good and well that my parents was not going to be able to afford to get me a rocking chair. But for whatever reason, I wanted a rocking chair. I think I have always been an old soul. I've always loved the old stories. I've loved to be around older people. I've loved to watch the shows about older times. And I wanted this rocking chair. And I didn't know this, but my mom found an old rocking chair that was from my great-grandparents. And she took her time and she sanded it down. She and my stepdad sanded it down, restained it, varnished it, and she could not hardly wait to give it to me for Christmas. And I treasured it. I don't have it today. It didn't last that long, but it was a treasure. And I think I really think if people would get back to a place where they're not ashamed to reuse the used items, to find new purpose for them, that they would find that their money would stretch further, their budget would be better, and they would feel better being able to reuse something. It takes training your brain just a little bit when you go to yard sales or consignments, estate auctions, all these estate sales, different places. It takes training your mind a little bit to, one, is it still usable for what its intended purpose was? For instance, say a garden hose. If you'd be surprised what you find at estate sales and yard sales. You know, people sell everything. I've been to them that have had walkers and wheelchairs. And crutches. I went to them that have had just mostly household items, dishes and towels and those kind of things. You have to, one, say, is this still usable for the original purpose it was? Is it valuable still? Does the garden hose still have good ends on it, or is it full of holes? Is there a way to check it? You know, and if the item cannot be used anymore for the original purpose, is there another purpose for it? Can you make something out of it? I think that if we could get our creativity flowing, we can keep stuff out of the trash heaps, and we can save a little bit of money in our pockets because we recreated something. I think that it's important for us to practice that skill. One reason why I wanted to say all of those things today is because I don't think that it's going to get a lot easier anytime soon. And I don't mean that as doom and gloom. I've told you for a long time, looking well to the ways of your household. That doesn't have to be just because we think something's bad's going to happen down the line. I think that's our job, is to look well to the ways of our household. Our parents did, our grandparents did, and I think that it's smart for us to do the same thing. But it's also smart and wise for us to realize that things aren't necessarily looking so good. The things that you hear in Washington and you hear on the news and you see all around you, that things aren't necessarily getting better and getting easier. Gas prices are up. We're getting ready to go into the fall and winter season, so people will be paying for heating oil and all of the other things. And, you know, belts are having to get tightened just a little bit more. And, you know, that can knock the breath out of us just a little bit, having to tighten those belts. But if we practice looking for ways to reuse those items, or look for bargains when they're on sale, like that ketchup, or any other kind of item that is a useful item that maybe I can't use all 5 bottles of ketchup, but I could get one for myself and I could take it to church and give bottles of ketchup to other people. I know that that sounds silly, but hey, if you're loving your neighbor and taking care of those around you, then, you know, it doesn't hurt to share what we have and to say, I can't use that item, but so-and-so can. I just think that it makes us better people, and it makes us more responsible people to be able to say, we'll reuse this item. If we can get ourselves to this place where we're willing to make things work, and maybe just one more way we can find to use them up, then how much better it'll be, and how much we can save on our budget, how much we can work at getting those other items paid off, use that leftover money and get ourselves out of debt. Do everything that we can to look well to the ways of our household. Well, guys, until next time, this is Josie. I love you guys. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. Find ways to save. Love on your family just a little bit more. And until next time, we're gone.